Well, good afternoon and welcome to the another episode of the Avatar Face to Face. This is a continuum of programming that we've been doing over a series of weeks as we begin to explore the international realm of the Caribbean. My name is Dillard Boone. I am the chairman of the Avatar Foundation and host of today's show. And we have some wonderful guests that have joined us that bring kind of a wealth of experience and knowledge about different aspects of the culture that we have been presenting over the weeks. So my guest today happens to be Miss Tenisha Malcolm, okay, and we will have then also Miss Monica Lallo, right? Am I pronouncing it right?
No, it's lallo.
Lallo, okay,
Yes.
okay. So we got that right. So good afternoon, ladies, and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so we want to be able to relax a little bit because we're going to have us a nice little conversation, and let's talk about really kind of where we are. Our programming has been really put together with a collaboration that we have had with the Afri Culture Organization and Miss Antoinette Pickens in particular. So we've been able to do this because both of our missions, both Avatar Foundation and the Afri Culture Organization, we have very similar missions in our approach to what it is we're trying to do. And a lot of that, first of all, is the multiculturalism aspect of it. The second part of that, of course, is inclusion. And we're able to do what we do through a series of collaborations and partnerships, joint ventures, and begin to share and utilize each other's resources so that as we put together our concept called Carib Gold, this is really then a project we came up with that helps us celebrate and acknowledge the whole 50th independence of Jamaica and Trinidad. So we have put together a year-long calendar of events and inviting very prominent people like yourselves to come in and talk about your areas of expertise and helping us better understand the mixtures of our cultures. You know, in the earlier conversation we're speaking about if one doesn't open their mouth and speak, one doesn't know where they come from. Right. But the idea once that happens, it's also about also what is the difference. So when the dust settles, we find that we're all kind of in the same bailiwick. So I want to kind of speak to you, Monica, if I may call you that,
Yes.
and ask you to kind of give us an overview who Monica Lalou is. Give me a little bit about your background and kind of how you got from your interest point to where we are now.
Well, I am from Jamaica. I moved here 21 years ago, exactly. And my background is basically working in youth development, program development over the years. I've always been an advocate for young people. In addition to that, I do a lot of pro bono volunteer work throughout the Caribbean, in the United States as well. I am currently acting in the capacity for Afroculture as the global management consultant of their youth initiative programming that they're doing. My regular job is I'm an administrator with county government. I'm also an adjunct professor and a consultant with my own nonprofit organization, and I do assist other organizations to build capacity as well. And that is what the role I'm playing actually with Afroculture in this 50th Carib Gold celebration.
Excellent. What is the name of your organization? Your
Outreach International Foundation.
Just give me a little. What does that entail?
It basically collaborates with organizations, help to build capacity, helps to strengthen them, because a lot of nonprofits, as we know, are not structured and set up properly. But with my background from NYU, where I have a master's in nonprofit management, I actually use that to help to organize organization both fiscally and programmatically to make sure that they're in compliance with the IRS rules and regulations,
right,
and to set them up in that regard. So I've been working with several organizations over the years to do that.
Oh, okay. That's very important. I just received a report a few months ago that listed all of the organizations that had lost their 501c3.
C3, correct.
Yeah, because there's a whole push on that for
Right.
non-compliance and
Right.
stuff of that nature. Okay. Well, Tenisha Malcolm, how are you?
I'm well. Yourself?
Okay. I'm going to ask you the same kind of question, Tenisha. Give us a little background about who you are and what you're doing.
Okay, I am a communications professional, and I am currently working for United Way of Greater Union County. And in that role, I am a marketing and communications manager. I promote all special events, fundraiser initiatives, as well as provide promotional material and collateral material for human services that we currently offer to over 112 different agencies. And I too, like Monica, I am a project consultant for the Afiliculture Global Program, and will be supporting in the areas of fundraising, special events, and promotional development as well.
All right, all right. Well, we got some heavyweights on this show today. Let's kind of go into our program. Let me ask you kind of a couple of questions. Where you do a lot with the youth, and we're talking about putting together a program, a conference, if you will, that's going to address some of the specific goals, addressing, I guess, the youth of today. And what we've been able to do in the past is to be able to look at this kind of transference from one culture to another. What is the pros and cons of that? What is the influence that impacts some of the young people that come from the Caribbean into the States, and kind of how that works? So in this planning stage, what has been kind of the direction that you're looking to go as we kind of put together this kind of youth development initiative?
I think, first of all, the issue with individuals who are coming to the United States, there's no structure in place where they can make that transition. That reintegration into the United States is quite challenging, and we have experienced it because I came here later. Tenisha was born here, but keeps going back and forth. And the fact that I had a child who came here at 10, I understand the roles and responsibility that is required to make that transition. I strongly believe that Afiliculture, the way they're structured in terms of using arts and culture to mix that into education is going to be crucial moving forward. I think the target audience, the mission and the goal of this particular program is to make sure we target first, second, and third generations, irrespective of where in the Caribbean they're coming from, and to actually set up a framework and a structure that could really capture and sustain them throughout that time to make that transition. Because there's a difference between assimilation and adapting to a culture. And I think a lot of times, because America has grown so much globally, it is now difficult on some levels. People are saying, okay, you're to assimilate versus adapting to a culture. I think you can keep both, and I think that is what is important. Once you can hold on to something that you know and then transition to accept the rules and laws and regulations of the United States, you're able to maximize and become successful. And that is what we want to bring to this conference, or the summit as we call it, as we move forward. So that's the structure that we're going to be putting in place.
Right. Well, that's a very interesting approach, because some of the kids who are born here are accustomed, they fall into a kind of a laissez-faire attitude, if you will, and miss opportunity. And really kind of the learning curve is that this is, with all of its fault, this country is a land of opportunity. And if people were to kind of open their eyes and look a little bit more broader, look across, particularly our younger people, they will just see exactly what's happening. My son is a perfect example. Although he's from here, just has been able to flip the switch and realize what opportunities lie before him. So he happened to be very proud of his grade level, his GPA, because it entitled him to another level of scholarship.
Right, and I think that is key, I think, and that's we're trying to cultivate and to make sure that we can sustain that with our young people and get them to be a part of the process, to help us with the planning. And so we're going to be targeting some of the schools in the tri-state area to make sure that we get them to be a part of the project team.
Okay.
As well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about kind of what you do in terms of this global marketing, because here's an initiative that's going to require that kind of support. How do you get the word out? How broad is this going to be? As you speak, it's going to be youngsters from different parts of the Caribbean basin. So I guess the question gets to be, how is your approach to reaching younger people? You're with United Way, so we deal with all kinds of age groups and multi ethnicities. How do you get that word? How do you use the media, if you will, in getting your word out?
Definitely through networks similar to this station here that is local. I definitely think also identifying young people with strong leadership skills and using things like social media, Facebook, the Twitter, the LinkedIn, etc. Just passing the word along with them through that. But from our standpoint, I definitely think our role and participation in celebrating the 50th independence anniversary for both Trinidad and Jamaica, it's an easy opportunity through our local Caribbean outlets to reach to our television, newspaper, radio stations to promote and market this event. We all know that folks from the Caribbean all love a good time, and it's a celebration, not only for the independence, but to tie it and link it to our initiatives with this program. And it's linked to the arts, so we know there's music, there's art, there's dancing. It's all in celebration, and it's all a good time.
I see. Okay.
So,
well, the whole youth movement, as we found, is a real kind of interesting dichotomy of people. It's a real kind of interesting segment, because not only are they our future, it becomes the influences that they have and are under as they begin to go from one stage to another in their maturity of life. So this summit really kind of brings on an opportunity to be far-reaching. We experienced something some years ago in Jamaica. It was the World Youth Conference. And at this time I was the manager of the Boys Choir of Harlem. We were able to take that segment of kids not only to Jamaica, but to begin to interface with youth from around the world. And how do you kind of see the theme of unity, or the theme of making people aware of the whole kind of adjustment period, if you will, in terms of what the opportunities lie before them?
Well, for the summit, we're going to have pre and post, and we're actually going to be tracking a follow-up 6 months after with those kids. But we're hoping that once we locate those individuals, we'll have them in the school, and we can create a Facebook page, for instance, and be able to track them in that regard. But right now, we actually are working World Computer Exchange, and we have identified 10 schools in Jamaica already, and we're doing the legwork now to bridge the technological divide. So we're working on that, and we're hoping that when we locate kids in the Caribbean and we locate kids here, maybe we can have like some sort of networking where we can create a peer-to-peer relationship, and we can probably replicate that across the Caribbean and have that kind of forum where we have young people talking together. So then that would alleviate when they're making the transition. If they're going to, a lot of them might get scholarships to come to the United States, they will already have a buddy in the United States. So we're hoping to really create that kind of environment, that forum, to be able to build some sustainability. And we know how important relationships are, to sustain those positive relationships, and that also reduces antisocial, at-risk type behavior. So that's where we're heading with Afuriculture Global Program.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay. Let me ask this: what is the age range you have in mind? I mean, is it middle school, is it high school kids, is it a combination of both, including college, or just what are kind of the parameters?
Well, right now, because we're targeting primary schools, and then in phase 1 of the World Computer Exchange program that Afuriculture is participating in, we're going to do like primary schools, which is equivalent to your middle school sort of here, and then we're going to target the basic schools. We wanted to start with that age group first, and then ultimately move along the continuum. Hopefully we'll get college students who have already made it to come back at some point in the process. Maybe when we have our next #2 summit,
Okay,
we'll have those kids. So we're starting somewhat in the middle, go to the young, because we'll be able to use the primary school to then mentor the smaller ones, because then we would have groomed them at some point,
Right.
and then to target, and then we will go around. We're not doing it the typical traditional way of taking the higher ones, but we're going in the middle and then back and then up again.
Interesting concept there. Okay. In terms of the FUI Global Initiative, part of what you do is create strategies in the planning phases of these campaigns that you work with, and utilize all of these kinds of existing medias. Do you plan to kind of incorporate the young people in what you're doing in terms of learning the different aspects of outreach and strategy building and stuff along that line?
Definitely. Depending on how many children we do decide that we will accommodate for this conference, we're hoping to have 100 plus. I think a handful will be selected based on leadership skills to help and have them plan the entire event from start to finish. The event is for young people, so who best to plan it but young people?
Okay.
Many of times we have conferences and summits where adults are planning it, and the children really don't take anything away from it.
Right.
So I think the involvement of the young folks in all in all areas, I should say, from marketing, types of speakers, down to the menu, I think these young people should be selecting, and I definitely think their involvement will be helpful for the conference scheduled now and for those in the future.
It's interesting. I'm glad to hear you say that and the approach that you're taking, because it's different. Oftentimes we have, as adults, we think we're planning for kids,
Right.
and we think
Right.
that would be of interest and have them participate in, and come to find out we missed a boat, and wonder why they're not taking advantage of what we're saying it should be. So it's really interesting to be able to get the input from young adults early on into the process, and they can see that once they begin to touch it, you'll find that the attitude changes, and they'll be very active in all of this. So now it's we have this FUI culture. This was relatively new to us at Avatar, and it's really positive to see that there is this initiative going out and speaking about this kind of change, this kind of interfacing and integration from one culture to another. We oftentimes really kind of get so judgmental on who we think we are and who we think others may be. But to begin to look into it, and as I'm finding out, there's a real broad reach out here. And we've had guests on this show that have brought a number of different points of view and attitudes and expression about how the culture works, and that's very important for us, because as we work, us being Avatar, because as we go through our initiatives, we have 4 phases that we work with, and one is heritage, so that you'll see different programs that we're initiating under the heritage component, kind of which this falls under. We then have what we call a art alliance, and this is where we introduce ourselves to independent artists of all kinds and begin to provide an economic underpinning to that, meaning we teach the business of art and culture. So we will take an artist who's trying to do painter's work or whatever they may do, and show them how to not only market, but to put themselves in a more business-friendly environment, so that there's an opportunity to present their product and generate some revenue at the same time. And then we go off into our training program. It's called Careers Behind the Scenes. I'm a producer of concerts and special events, and behind those scenes, plethora of jobs, all kinds of grips, lighting, set design, you name it. So as people begin to think they want to be out front, they want to be the lead rapper, and it's not happening for them, we want them not to get discouraged, but to look beyond that and be able to see what those opportunities are. And our fourth one is our media center, which is this show, as well as we have a radio show on WVOX, and we're worldwide, so that we have this media in order to help us get the word out, and we think that's extremely important. So we'll be reaching back out to you guys and saying, listen, are we doing this thing right, or what should we do? Now, in your programming, is there information that you would like to put out there to have people contact you for more information about what you do?
Yes, as a consultant, but right now we're working directly and spending our time with Afuriculture, trying to build that program over the next 12 months. So you can email us at afuriculture2@yahoo.com.
Okay, you want to say it again so they can write it down?
AFEWE
Yeah.
culture, CULTURE2@yahoo.com.
Okay. And how about you in terms of what you're doing? You have information that you want to share, or people want to get in touch with you at the same address?
Same address.
The same address, okay.
Yep.
All right. So we want to kind of thank both of you for kind of coming on board and just sharing with some of what you do, and being a contributor to the real components of this whole Afuriculture and what the collaboration is with the Avatar Foundation. And we need to do more of this in collaborating and exposing each other in terms of our professional backgrounds and what we bring to the table. It's really important. So for those who are looking into this show, trying to understand what it is that we're doing, it's real clear in terms of our presentation to the world, is that we are in a position to work with different cultures, because we are all really of one people, and begin to look at the contributions each has made, not only to their country, to the world, but to this country, and look at how we can create a more harmonious and friendlier world and environment that we work in. And it's important on our end to kind of reach out and invite people. People don't invite anymore, so you guys, you ladies are welcome back at any time to bring back, and let's do a follow-up segment, so that we've introduced something. Let's take another step and see where we are in the progress of this global initiative. I mean, it sounds very interesting. So I want to just thank you again, both of you, for being here, and speak to our audience in this regard, is that the dream is in the mind of the believer and in the hands of the doer. And you are not given that dream without giving the benefit to make it happen. So from all of you, we thank you. Have a good weekend and happy holiday.